Hi, everybody. David Capes here for Exegetically Speaking. This is our 300th episode, and who better to kick it off than Mike Bird?
Hi, I'm Mike Bird, Deputy Principal and Lecturer of New Testament at Ridley College, and it's great to be with you on Exegetically Speaking.
Dr. Michael Bird, Mike, good to see you. Welcome back to Exegetically Speaking.
It's great to be with you, David, and all of your listeners.
We are a long way from each other and our time differences, but boy, we can be brothers and sisters in Christ.
We've been friends for a long time, David.
Indeed, indeed. Now, this is the 300th episode of our podcast.
That's great. Great news.
When I started this, the dean at Wheaton College said, exegetically speaking, I don't think so. But it's their number one podcast. It's doing really well all around the world. I hope people tune in and listen and be encouraged to study the original languages. That's why we're here.
Well, that's what we do for a living, David. We're all about the original languages.
And we got to pass it on, right? We got to have the next generation step up and say, I want to learn that skill. I want to be another Mike Bird.
Yeah. And what do they be? I mean...
The next Mike Bird, who is that? All right, so today we're going to look at a really interesting passage, Galatians 2, 19 and 20. I mean, this is the heart of so much of discussion of late about certain kinds of forms. So take us through that. What are we looking at here today, Mike?
Well, I've got to begin by saying that this is one of my favorite verses, not just in the Pauline corpus, but in the entire New Testament. You know, it's something that speaks to me. And I read somewhere that this was one of the texts that was most read out at Christian funerals in the late 19th century. I learned that from David Bebbington.
Really?
So, yeah, the standard translation of this text goes something like this. I have been crucified with Christ, and I no longer live, but Christ lives in me. The life I live in the body, I live by faith in the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me. Now, when we look at the original text here, there's really two main issues we've got to consider. One is the verb crucified with, which is sunestoromai. Now, this is in the perfect tense form, and this is a really good place to think about what does the perfect tense form mean and how does it work. And there's a bit of debate about that. Now, your classic Greek textbooks will say something like, it's a past event with ongoing significance.
Right.
Like,
right.
You know, I had some spicy food and I really need an Alka-Seltzer right now, kind of a thing. You know, past event,
Yes.
ongoing significance.
Yes.
And you see that in a commentary, like Jimmy Dunn's commentary. He argues that to be crucified with Christ means I have died with him and I'm still up there on the cross with him. So he takes the perfect tense in that way, past event, ongoing significance. Other people think it means kind of like a zoom in, like a heightened proximity. And Con Campbell, another great Australian guy, he thinks the perfect tense is kind of like the present tense on steroids. So he thinks it's kind of like that zoom in moment where like you're watching, you know, one of the Jesus movies, you know, and you're zooming into the cross. So he thinks it's sort of like a heightened proximity. And then you get Stan Porter, who thinks that the perfect tends to function in more of heightening the state of something. In other words, it's the state of crucifiedness that is being emphasized. So you can see how different theories of how the perfect tense works can really change how you view what it means to be crucified with Christ. Now, everyone agrees that it's trying to accent this somehow. It's trying to emphasize it. But is it emphasizing the continuous state? Is it emphasizing the sort of the zoom in, the close-up, or is it the state of crucifiedness that we participate in? So that's one thing you get if you know something about Greek. The other thing is there is a debate, particularly in Paul's letters, about how key texts that mention faith and Christ should be interpreted.
Right.
So should these texts be interpreted as faith in Christ, which is, you know, how most of our Bible translations interpret them. In fact, you can see this in Galatians 2:15. You got the same debate, or in Philippians 3:9, or Romans 3:22, and sometimes the old King James retains the ambiguity. It talks about the faith of Christ rather than faith in Christ. It talks about the faith of Christ. Now, the way a genitive would normally work is that the genitive, the of bit, kind of defines and delimits the main noun. So it's faith as defined in relation to Christ. Now, in Galatians 2:20, we do have something a little bit similar, where Paul says, "I've been crucified with Christ. I no longer live, but Christ lives in me." And then you could say, "The life I live by faith in the Son of God." And because it's in the dative case, it does naturally lend it. But the dative case can also mean agency. So is Paul saying, "I live by faith in the Son of God"? Or is he saying, "I live by the faithfulness of the Son of God"? And the Swiss theologian Karl Barth preferred that translation, "I live by the faithfulness of the Son of God." Now, I do think that is possible here. It's maybe not certain, and I think most English translations prefer what we call the objective reading of faith in the Son of God. But yeah, I do admit this is theoretically possible. And if you know a little bit about the Greek text, it helps you to understand some of these slight and subtle ambiguities which do have some theological consequences.
Absolutely.
Like, is Paul emphasizing faith in Christ, or faith in the Son of God, or the Son of God's faithfulness, which he expressed in giving himself for me?
Loving me and giving himself on my behalf.
Yeah, and that would be expression of the faithfulness of Son of God. And it means then we could say that our faith in Christ is entrusting ourselves to the faithfulness of the Son of God, who loved us and gave himself with us, and that is why we are proudly crucified with him. So that's what I think going a little bit deeper into the original languages brings out. I mean, it's fine to read stuff in English. Most of our English translations are pretty good, adequate and fit for purpose. Yes. But when you go into the original languages, you just get layers of possibilities and textures. It's kind of like the difference between, I don't know, like you've read the book and then going to see the movie at the IMAX cinemas. There's a difference. The book was good, but when you see the movie in the IMAX 3D experience, I think that's the difference that the original languages get you. In your college and seminary courses, definitely take some Greek and Hebrew.
You dig down deep in that because there's so much goodness, so many layers, as you said, of meaning that we miss. And one of the things I love, Mike, about reading Greek is it slows me down. I can't read it at the same pace as I read English, unless I'm just kind of scanning something. But it slows me down and causes me to think, and that's a part of the beauty of it as well. Dr. Mike Bird, thanks for being with us today on this 300th episode of Exegetically Speaking.
It's been great to be with you, Dave, and everyone at Wheaton College, all your alumni, friends, and students. Have a blessed day.
I really wanted Mike Bird to be with us here for this 300th episode. He brings life everywhere he goes. This podcast is brought to you by the good people at the Linear Theological Library and Learning Center in Houston, and also Wheaton College in Wheaton, Illinois. We are both glad to promote the study of biblical languages. You probably heard that dog in the background from time to time. It's my neighbor's dog, kind of noisy. Sorry about that. But he loves biblical languages too. Thanks to John Lonsma, Rebecca Larson, Jesse Dugan, Silvio Vasquez, our Wheaton-based team. Thanks to my talented wife, Kathy Capes, for her editorial prowess. Thanks to David Capes and Phil Keggy for our music. It takes a lot of people to bring you 300 episodes over all these years. Now for the next 100. Until next time, I'm David Capes. Thanks for listening.